And we have a catalog component, which is used for really cataloging data across your entire enterprise, right? Today, for this session, I'm going to focus on what we call the project marketplace. So a lot of the way that we automate, or help you automate the development of your data pipelines is through these pre-built node templates, right? When Snowflake releases a new feature around LLM functionality, dynamic tables, streams, tasks, there's SQL behind that, right? And what these templates do is they automate the generation of that SQL. Some of the key benefits of using, another benefit of using these templates is really democratize some of the available packages we have. Really, how do these packages work? Pipelines. So this is the interface for Coalesce. On the left-hand side, we have projects. Projects are connected to a Git repo for versioning and CI/CD. I'm going to go into this Cortex project and launch my main workspace. And what you're going to see here is there's a bunch of nodes on the screen. They're different colors. Different colored nodes represent different functionality. This purple one is a way to utilize the Cortex LLM functions. Blue one is a forecasting template. A lot of different templates. If you want to install these templates, it's pretty easy. You can just go into build settings here, go to packages, and click install. And we need to put a package ID in here. If we click on the Coalesce documentation, you're going to see what I was talking about how we documented all this stuff. So you see we have all the different packages listed out here. We have some different featured packages. If I want to learn more about Cortex, I can find out more. It's going to take me to the Cortex documentation, and we see the nodes that are available, right? We have this external data package. If you want to automate and template copying data from stages into tables or using Snowflake, we have nodes for that. Just say I want to install this package. I'll just copy the package ID. I'll go back into Coalesce here, paste that in, and there's different versions of the package, right? So as we will find bugs. When we find those, we will create a new version of the package, and that's what we can install. So we're going to pick the latest version here. We'll give it an alias. We'll say EDP 130. EDP 1330. Click install. And then what we're going to see is in our node types, we now have our external data package nodes that have been installed. Part of some of these packages are also macros. So if there are macros, you'll see those macros here. They're just things that we can use to simplify things. They come as part of the package. So that's how you install the package. After you've installed the package, those nodes are available for use in your pipeline. And what we see in this pipeline is, we're always going to start with source data, right? Whether that's a source table or a view or dynamic table on Snowflake, or the source could be a node that runs a copy statement or uses Snowflake or an external table, right? So we're going to have the data we want to start working with. And we want to, in this case, let's look at the lobster sales here. So look at the Tasty Bite sales. We got date of sale, city, a bunch of other things here. I can do a fetch data. It's going to give me a preview of the data in our source. Looking at the pipeline, we have a stage right here. What we're doing is we're actually filtering for time period. We can also filter for what city we want to forecast for. We write SQL to actually figure out what data we want to push down into the LLM. So you can see we're doing that here. Just to show you, if I right click, add node, I have all the different nodes that are available here. So I'm going to add Cortex top insights, right? So it's going to add the template here, and at that point I can start configuring things. So for top insights, these are the different configurations that are going to be available to me. So like I said, you don't have to write the SQL, you can add the configurations, and we can generate that SQL for you. I'm not going to use that node, I just wanted to show you an example. What I will do, delete that. So we're prepping our data for forecasting here. In our view, just selecting the columns I want to use to actually run the forecast. If you look at the join, I'm filtering specifically for lobster, mac and cheese. This can be parameterized as well, so if you call a job and you want to run it for different categories or different products, this could actually be a parameter you pass in and you enter as you call your job, right? So you can run this a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, here, I just fetch the data. We're passing in our timestamp, menu item name, total sold. And moving down to our next node, this is our forecast node, right? If you look at the forecast model input, Under the covers, we're going to create that forecast model as part of this process. And when I talk about configuration, okay, what's the timestamp column I want to base my forecast off of? So then we have this drop down here. We can select any of the columns in our mapping grid. So we want to run it 4 timestamp. That's what we want our timestamp column to be. What do we want to forecast? Or what's our target column? And that's where we see total sold, right? So we're going to forecast total sold for some period of time based off the inputs into this template. Added some template columns as part of this process here. After creating the table, if I click on run, this may take a couple seconds here. We're building the model and running the forecast, loading the data into the table we just created. And I'll just show you the stages once this is done. And then I'm going to go into Snowflake and just show you what that forecast looks like as a chart in Snowflake. Okay, while it's running, I'll just go through classic call transcripts as well. Some other functionality is translating language. That's a Cortex functionality, right? So we have a node that allows you to do that. If you look at these call transcripts, so we have this pipeline is going to take call transcripts, and here, I'm adding a filter in for German language call transcripts, right? I have another node down here where I'm pulling in French and English calls, and I'm pushing that down into our LLM call transcript node here. If you look at the Cortex package, we're using the translate functionality. So we want to translate the transcript column, right, from German to English. So add some simple configurations here. Similarly for the one we have down here, we're going to translate French to English, right? So after we run those nodes, we're going to bring them together. So we now have English call transcripts across all languages. We're going to join this together with this model, so we have the entire data set we want to work with. And then finally, this is a Cortex function node. We're going to do sentiment analysis of those call transcripts, right? And we're also going to ask a question, like, reading through the transcript, who's the customer that we're dealing with? So this is just a configuration. I can pick what column I want to apply this question to, and I can ask whatever question I want, right? And then we're going to generate the SQL to push all that down to Snowflake. Let me check on our forecast node here. Okay, so we're done. We got our forecast. So if we look at the results over here, what we did is, well, first we checked to see if the model existed or not. We truncated our forecast table, right? Because we want to add a new forecast into the table. We don't want to keep the old forecasting. So we're going to truncate the table. We're going to populate that forecast table with historical data. So these are all the steps you would have to go through yourself and write your own SQL for that we're automating for you. After we do that, we generate the forecast model instance. So you can see we're creating our lobster and call the model, insert the data. When all said and done, if we go to Snowflake, I'm just going to query that ML forecast lobster sales table. Go to the chart over here. And you see these are the actual sales, right? So this is the total sold. I'm just going to add a column and add that forecast in that we just created. And you can see pretty easily, we have that yellow line.